Hey guys, welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. I hope everybody has had a good week. It is Friday, so tonight we have our cold case of the week. And this week, once again, we're going to take a look at a suspected, alleged serial offender. He was convicted of one homicide, but he is possibly linked to 5 more. So we'll be taking a look at all that information. But first, as always, we have our featured missing person of the night. Let me get back to the right slide. There we go. This information comes from neverforgottenar.org, which is the Arkansas Missing Persons Database. And tonight's missing person is Cannon Grace Dulaney. Hold on, once again, I got something in my way that I can't. Go away. Sorry. As always, technical difficulties. All right, I'll just wing it. So Cannon Grace Dulaney, she is just 14 years old. She's a white female, 5'11", about 90 pounds, I think it said, with hazel eyes and reddish brown hair. She went missing on August 25th of this year, so about a month ago, from Hot Springs, Arkansas. So if you have any information about Cannon or her disappearance, you can contact the Hot Springs Police Department at 501-321-6789. And as always, I will put a link to this information in the description box. So I implore you, please share it anywhere and everywhere that you can, because the more people that see it, the better. All right, now we will get to our case of the week, and we're going to be talking about Arthur Ream. Some of you may have heard of Arthur Ream. I hadn't really seen or read much about him until I was doing my research and just browsing Google, and his name came up, so I got to looking into him. And he is a very, very, I say this all the time, but he is a very, very bad man. And I'll give you, not only will I give you the information of these crimes that he's possibly linked to, but I'm going to give you some background information on him, because just to give you an idea of truly, because I put serial monster on here, he's definitely a monster in my opinion. Now whether or not he's a serial offender, you can make your own judgment. I'll give you the information and you can decide. So Arthur Ream, he's currently 74 years old as of 2023 when I'm recording this. He is incarcerated. He got a life sentence for one homicide that he was convicted of. He is a suspected serial offender. Of course, like I said, he has one confirmed victim, but he could have upwards of six or more victims that they're, like I said, they're trying to link him to. In 2018, I believe, they did a search of some property. I don't know if he owned the property or if it's just where they suspected these bodies were buried at. But we'll get into all that information in a minute. So just a brief, some of his brief, I can't talk tonight. Once again, I film these videos very late at night because it's the only time I have time to do it between my real job I have and everything else going on. And anyway, so I'm usually loopy. Anyway, so he was convicted of SA in the 1970s, and in 1986 he was convicted of the homicide of Cindy Zarzicki. She was a 13-year-old girl. She was dating his son at the time. He was convicted of her homicide, and afterwards in 2008 he did lead authorities to her body, which was buried in a shallow grave 30 miles from Detroit, Michigan. Now, this was the property that in 2018, I believe, 2018 or 2019, they went back and started digging to see if there was possibly other bodies buried there, because they had been trying to link him or think that he's possibly linked to these other cases. So while he was in prison after he was convicted of the homicide of Cindy, he reportedly, allegedly told his cellmates that he was a serial offender with 4 to 6 victims. So take that with a grain of salt. Can't always trust what cellmates say. They could have ulterior motives. But whatever the case may be, in May of 2018, police began digging at the same property where he had led them to Cindy's body, where it had been recovered. And they were expecting to find the bodies of other missing girls. But unfortunately, no remains were located, and they stopped digging after a week. And all the cases that they were looking into have remained unsolved. And I will be bringing you the other either five or six cases that they think he's possibly linked to. All right, so for his background information, get my tablet fired up because this is a lot of information and I would have had to make like a zillion slides for, so I'm just gonna read it to you. I usually hate reading stuff off, but anyway. Okay, so this information comes from acutetv.com. And let me find the place where I want to start at. Okay, so Arthur Nelson Ream. It says he spent much of his early life in Warren, Michigan during the 1950s. He dropped out of school during the 7th grade and left home shortly after that, supposedly to escape an abusive father. However, allegations of, I just try to word this where YouTube won't flag it, of child interest, let's just say that he was interested in children, significantly affected his personal relationships. Of course, he denied any misconduct with children, but he did face accusations of abuse from other people. He later received training in carpet installation, and he established a flooring company. So in 1978, he was found guilty of assaulting a 15-year-old girl. This led to the divorce from his first wife. In another article I read, apparently his brother-in-law, who I think it said his brother-in-law was a teenager at the time, was also allegedly in on this assault of this 15-year-old girl. And according to the brother-in-law, they either Ream or both of them abducted this girl, blindfolded her with duct tape, had a switchblade they threatened her with, and assaulted her. So Arthur faced charges of statutory assault under 1970s legislation. So I don't know why it would be statutory. I mean, I know what statutory assault means. It means basically that she was willing, but she was underage. Although it says here that they either Ream or both of them assaulted her despite her pleas to stop. So, but in any case, he was charged with statutory assault. And now the brother-in-law that was supposedly in on it with him testified against Ream in the trial. And according to him, he had said that Arthur Ream said that he planned to eliminate any witnesses that might testify against him in court. So I don't know what other witnesses there would be besides maybe he was talking about threatening the brother-in-law that was there, or threatening the young lady that they assaulted. So while he was in prison, apparently he wrote to his judge expressing regret over his actions and asking for leniency. Meanwhile, his personal life was marked by multiple marriages and allegations of abuse from other partners. Additionally, prosecutors charged that Mr. Ream had assaulted his teenage niece sometime around the early 1970s. So you can see we're just getting into it, and he's already told you he was a bad man. So detectives who questioned Mr. Ream believed that he was a manipulator who'd like to play mind games, and they suspected him of additional kidnappings and homicides. Former Deputy Chief John Calabrese had been investigating the Cindy Zarzicki case when Ream came to their attention, and they suspected that he had committed more crimes. And there was even suspicion that he may have hidden the bodies. All right. So going back even further back in his violent tendencies were evident in his teenage years when he attacked a female acquaintance. His troubling statements during the attack were reported to both their respective mothers, assuming his mother and the girl's mother, but they were not reported to the police. While in jail, he researched and he produced a report about Cindy's case, the young lady that he was convicted of taking the life of. And he acknowledged that his anger could lead him back into violence against young and vulnerable females. So this tells me that he had anger issues, showed signs of psychopathy. Now, this is all just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a professional. He had violent tendencies, of course, anger issues, and he admitted himself that he could reoffend. I get down to okay. So Calabrese conducted an interview with Cindy Zaricki's attorney after extensive investigation of the case. Calabrese believes that Ream was responsible for additional kidnappings and homicides, and he believes the location could have been used for burying bodies found during his investigation of Macomb Township. I don't know how that's how you pronounce it, but which is the site that they were digging in 2018. Calabrese oversaw Ream's interrogation and interviews, and during which these interviews, a lady came forward and claimed that Ream had attacked her while both of them were teenagers. Now, when I read this of what she said that he said to her, it just gave me chills. She says, quote, "He tried to assault me while telling me things like, 'I have always desired you since you were born.'" So I don't even want to call him a man. This monster has definite issues. This lady that came forward said that at the time she reported the assault to her mother, and then they left without filing a report with the police. So once again, we have another case of them, the victims, for some reason or another, not making a report to the police. Now, I don't know if he possibly threatened the victims. That would be my suspicion, but like I said, I don't know. But just please let me know what you think. Leave any thoughts in the comment section. Any ideas you guys might have. Just always be respectful of the victims' families, and each other. All right, just a little bit more. So this lady that came forward also said in her opinion, she said, quote, "He could easily kill another girl his own age if he wanted to." So evidently it was very evident that he was very violent. and that he could, as she said, take the life of another person just at will whenever he wanted to. Ream researched and produced a report about Cindy while in jail. And regarding anger, he wrote, quote, "Anger can lead me down the path toward reoffending by channeling my energies toward one person. If that person happens to be a vulnerable female, I may commit further offenses." So he's even admitting himself that if he was ever to, for God forbid, ever get released from prison, that he would most likely reoffend and hurt other people. All right. A little bit more. Just got a little bit more, and then we'll get to the slides. Like I said, I hate reading off of my tablet here because I feel like I'm not connecting. But anyway, so during the course of events, Mr. Ream's fourth wife filed for divorce after 6 years of marriage in 1998, citing physical violence as the reason. During that time, Mr. Ream faced allegations that he assaulted a 15-year-old girl that was under his care at the time. Why anybody would leave a child, especially female, with him is beyond me, but that's not for me to judge. Although he admitted guilt, he claimed that their encounter was consensual. However, such claims had no legal ramifications due to the age of the girl at that time, because she was underage. It says the assault occurred at his property, where the girl had received drinks before the assault happened. Of course, he was charged with first and second degree homicide of Cindy Zarzicki. She was 13 years old. After receiving a 15-year sentence but seeking release in 2008, he offered an alibi. Now, his alibi was that Cindy often visited this warehouse that he owned, and he said they would lie on the carpet, and somehow she fell down the elevator shaft and was electrocuted. Now, a raise of hands, show of hands in the comments if you would trust that alibi. I wouldn't. Of course, the jury did not believe this alibi, and they found him guilty of first-degree homicide and sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of release. And at the time of sentencing, that is when Mr. Ream revealed where he had hidden Cindy's remains. Authorities suspected Mr. Ream of involvement in at least 4 to 6 other crimes between 1970 and 1982, involving victims between 12 and 17 years of age, who disappeared near 23 Mile and North Avenue in Macomb Township. When conducting their investigation there, they searched Arthur's property, but they found no additional remains. Arthur, of course, maintained his innocence despite overwhelming evidence against him, and he boldly demanded an apology from the police, alleging that they had falsely implicated him and wasted taxpayers' money. So yeah, he wanted an apology from the police, and what is it, defamation? Because he said that they defamed him by claiming that he was a serial offender. So now he is housed at the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility, where he watches TV or plays cards to pass the time in his cell. Great for Mr. Ream. I'm sorry, I'm being sarcastic tonight. Okay, so I'm done with the reading from the tablet. All right, so This is Cynthia Jocelyn Zarzicki. This is the young lady that he was convicted of taking the life of. She had gone missing on April 20th of 1986 from East Point, Michigan. She was just 13 years old. On the night that she disappeared, well, it doesn't give a lot of information. Anyway, her case, she disappeared on April 20th, 86. The case was cold until 2008 when Arthur Ream, who was Cynthia's boyfriend's father, was charged with her homicide. Authorities believe that he abducted her and then took her life when she resisted his sexual advances. He was convicted in June of 2008, although Cynthia's body had not been found. And then in July, that's when he led investigators to her body that they found in the shallow grave in Macomb Township, Michigan. So that is the only one confirmed victim so far. So now we will get into, I believe, the other 5 that possibly he is linked to. So the first one is Cynthia Kuhn. I try to put these in chronological order of when they went missing. So she went missing on January 19th, 1970 from Washtenaw County, Michigan. She was only 13 years old when she disappeared. She had departed from her family's residence, which was said it was west of Ann Arbor, Michigan, at 7:30 a.m. on January 19th. She was going on her way to school. And she did not like to ride the bus. She preferred to walk. It said it's about a 1-mile walk, so it wasn't too awful long. She never arrived as scheduled to school, and she was never seen again. She had no prior history of running away from home. She was a good student. She was carrying only $2 or $3 in cash when she went missing. There were possible sightings of her in the Ann Arbor area in the days following her disappearance, but none of these sightings were confirmed. Sorry, I got to get a drink. All right. So that is Cynthia Kuhn, and this was in 1970. And I did my best to try to find some kind of shreds of information about why authorities believe or suspect that Arthur Ream may be connected to these cases. There wasn't a whole lot. Of course, most of it is just said, we suspect, but they didn't really give a reason. But I will give you the shreds of information that I did find. Okay, so more on Cynthia. Now, she called her parents twice during a 2-hour period on April 1st and April 2nd. The calls reportedly came from Detroit, but during the conversation, Cynthia claimed that she didn't know her exact whereabouts. And after that, that was the last time that she was heard from. Now, it does say that her relatives received an extortion type call on May 5th, which was almost 4 months after she disappeared. What they mean by extortion, maybe ransom money, who knows. But after that, there has not been any other communication regarding her case since that time. So that the call confused me, but they did say, just trying to make possible links to Arthur Ream. All the investigators who have interviewed Ream said that he is a manipulator. He likes to play mind games. So this possibly could have been him calling, just playing a mind game. Okay, let's see. The only information I could find about suspected links with Cynthia, it says after 48 years, police were searching what they suspected was a serial offender's rural grave site in Macomb County, where they think Cynthia Kuhn and several other girls may be buried. The search did not turn up anybody so far, but said that they, at the time, that they weren't giving up. Says there is probable cause to believe this is a grave site, no question about it, and that Kimberly King, who is another victim that I'll give you the information on, and other young female victims were killed and buried there. Warren Police Commissioner William Dwyer said at a press conference. When asked if one of those victims could be Cynthia Coon, Dwyer said yes. So that's the only reasoning that I could find on this about Cynthia, about why they didn't say why. They just said yes, one of those victims could be Cynthia. So I said it's to me it's frustrating when they, and I understand that they don't give a lot of information. They keep things close to the vest when they're investigating, so as not to taint any evidence or any information they may find in case he's ever charged with any of these cases and it goes to trial. It's still frustrating though. Okay, so next we have Nadine Odell. She went missing on October 16th, once again in 1970. No, I'm sorry, 1974. Well, the picture says 70, but the information from Charlie Project says 74. So we'll go with that. She went missing on August 16th, 1974 from Inkster, Michigan. She was 16 years old at the time she went missing. She was last seen walking in Inkster on John Daly Road towards Michigan Avenue. This was at 9:30 a.m. She was on her way to babysit at her boyfriend's house in Taylor, Michigan. Her boyfriend was going to meet her there. The boyfriend arrived, but she never did. And she was never seen or heard from again. So another one that just vanished into thin air, it seems. The only information that I could really find, in 2018, Brenda Lee Handloser, who was her sister, says, I know there's somebody out there that knows something. You hear it all the time. Somebody has to have seen something. She says, I want to bring my sister home and lay her to rest. I don't care if it's just a bone, a piece of hair, a nail. I don't care. I just want my sister. She is out there somewhere laying in the ground. And that's just, once again, breaks my heart when I read these statements from these family members. I just can't imagine what it's like to know that your loved one is out there somewhere and you just don't know where they're at. So I just, thoughts and prayers always go out to the family and friends of the victims. All right, next we have Kimberly King. She went missing on September 15th, 1979 from Warren, Michigan. She was only 12 years old. She had spent the night of September 15th at a friend's residence, which was across the street from her grandparents' home in Warren, Michigan. At 11 p.m., she had called her sister and said that she had snuck out of the friend's house and was calling from an outdoor phone booth. Of course, this is in the late 70s when there were still pay phones and phone booths. She had snuck out of the friend's house, calling from an outdoor phone booth, which she said was not far away, excuse me, from her friend's house. Her sister told her that she needed to go back inside her friend's house, but Kimberly never returned to the friend's home, and she was never seen or heard from again. Authorities are uncertain which payphone that she was calling her sister from. She said it was a short walk from her grandparents' home, but one witness said that he saw Kimberly using the phone that was several miles away from the grandparents' home. So There's a little discrepancy there. Of course, if she was snuck out of the house, her friend's house, she was talking to her sister. Of course, she might not have been, would want her sister to know exactly where she was, how far away she was. So entirely possible that she was further away than she told her sister. And it says here that her case was originally classified as a possible runaway. The only information I could find about the suspected possible link to Kimberly, one article said that the area that they searched is believed to be the site of alleged atrocities involving 12-year-old Warren girl Kimberly King, last seen in 1979, and 4 to 6 others, said Warren Mayor James Fouts in a news release. Dwyer, who was the assistant chief Warren, something to do with the Warren mayor or deputy mayor or whatever it was in the previous slide. Anyway, he said in a news conference that there's no question, according to him, there's no question that Kimberly is buried at that site. So that's, like I said, they're saying there's no question, we're certain, but they don't give reasons, which, like I said, it's not unusual. They're not going to reveal much information. All right, next we have Kim Laro. She went missing on June 8th, 1981 from Canton, Michigan. She was 15 years old. She was last seen on the evening of June 8th, 1981. She had recently moved from her father's home in Dundee, Michigan, to her mother's residence in Canton. She was in Canton for only about a week when she vanished. She was last seen at the ice cream parlor near Sheldon Road and Ann Arbor Road. Kim's best friend worked there, and the girls made plans to meet at Haggerty Field in Hines Park that night. She never arrived at the park, and she has never been seen again. She was not reported missing for several days, and interestingly, it says that her mother refused to cooperate with the investigation. In the articles that I came across, it never stated a reason as to why her mother didn't want to cooperate with the investigation. So we'll just have to leave it at that, I guess. Okay, so in 2018, her brother, Brandon Headley, spoke to a local news agency about his sister's disappearance. He said, and I believe on, I think it was this one, that there were several persons of interest or suspects in this particular disappearance, but for the most part, all of those were ruled out and cleared. I think I might do an individual video about this case because there was a lot of information. There was another suspected serial offender that they thought possibly could have been responsible, but anyway, like I said, I might do a separate video later, some later date on this one. Anyway, back to her brother. He says that Kim was a forgotten child by an extremely selfish family. And we all should have been there more for you, and I'll never forgive myself. He said, I believe I'll see Kim again someday, and then I'll be able to tell her how sorry I am. So apparently, and I believe in this case, said that she was kind of a wild, rebellious girl. She did drugs and so on and so forth. In this same article, it just says Laro is one of multiple girls whose disappearances have been linked to Ream by investigators, but the connections have not been confirmed. So once again, very limited information, just suspicions. All right, and I think this is the last one. Kelly M. Brownlee. She went missing on May 20th, 1982 from Novi, Michigan. She was 17 years old, so I believe that would make her the oldest of the 5 or 6 that we're talking about. Um, she and her boyfriend, Mark Graves, had taken the bus together to their high school on May 20th, 1982. Kelly skipped classes that day, and she hitchhiked to the 12 Oaks Mall in Novi, Michigan. She had apparently went there to apply for jobs at several stores. Um, Kelly, she listed the Brownlees residence as her address on all of her applications. It says a friend's mother saw her, had seen her at the mall, offered her a ride. Kelly declined the ride. She said that she planned to place more applications before going home. It is unclear if she was returning back to her boyfriend's home or if she was going back to her home. And this was the last confirmed sighting of Kelly. All right. So once again, the headline, I found this one article. It says Novi teen linked to suspected serial offender, last seen 40 years ago at 12 Oaks Mall. Kelly Marie Brownlee was last seen around 11 a.m. on May 20th, 1982. In the 4 decades since, officials have suspected her disappearance is linked to Arthur Ream, a convicted offender and suspected serial offender. Authorities have long considered where Ream's other possible victims could be. I'm assuming they're referring to the area that was searched. It says, but Brownlee is among those who have never been found. So, the only, out of all these cases, just to recap, he was only convicted of one homicide. He eventually led them to where he buried the body, and this was the Cindy Zarzicki. But as of 2023, none of these other victims have been found. So hopefully, going backwards. Okay, so here's all the victims. So hopefully, at some point in the future, these victims will be found, and hopefully they can either be linked to Arthur Ream or to whoever the offender who took their lives is. So we have Cynthia Kuhn, who went missing in 1970, Nadine Odell. Either that was one that was, I think it was 1974. Kimberly King in 1979, Kim Laro in 1981, and Kelly Brownlee in 1982. So I have question marks here. So please let me know in the comments if you think, what your thoughts are, if you think that any of these 5 could possibly be linked to Arthur Ream. If any of you who's watching might have heard of this case, may have looked into it. If you have any information that I didn't find or include in this video, please, you can either put it in the comments or you can email me at wildirishrose71@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to pass on that information. All right, I think that is all I have. Yep. All right, so that was our case of the night. So please do, if you thought this video was interesting, informative, please give me a thumbs up. Leave your comments, like I said. Please do share it. Any true crime groups you're in, any friends, family members you think might be interested in this case or this information. And please just share it just to get the information out there, just to keep the victims of the names of the victims out there so that they are never forgotten. All right, so it is Friday, so I will be back Monday with a Missing Person Monday, as always. So until then, please do take care of yourselves. Take care of, be careful out there. Most importantly, take care of each other. That's the most important thing we can do, is take care of each other so that we can all make it through this life safely. All right, so until Monday, I'll see you. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.